Probably the number one question that we're asked is prefab cheaper? And sometimes people aren't just asking, they're making the assumption that it must be cheaper. Well, the answer is, it depends. But stay with me here while I break down all the costs so you can see what makes sense for your project. So starting with the base cost, we're building here in Houston, Texas, and shipping to various parts of the country. So what we're able to build for in Houston is essentially the same labor and material that would go into site-built construction. That would make us generally the same price as site-built construction, except we have extra costs that go into the factory. For example, the building overhead, forklifts, storing material, and our whole quality assurance program that you just don't get in site-built construction. All of that adds to our overhead, and the way we're able to make up for that is through construction efficiencies, reducing waste, improving sequencing, and labor controls. So for us, we're really looking at the same cost as comparable site-built construction in our area. And as a side note to that, you really first need to understand if you're comparing a prefab to site-built construction that you're actually comparing apples to apples quality. Just like in site-built construction, you can have a lower end build or a higher end build. Be sure that what you're comparing lines up. So the geography is really what changes the equation. If we're shipping to an area where it's really expensive to build, we're going to be a better value. Equally, if we're shipping to an area where it's less expensive to build than where we're located, we may not be the best value. Another thing that can make comparing manufacturers confusing is the way different operations structure their pricing. Make sure you're comparing all aspects of a prefab project, what it takes to design, permit, fabricate, and finish. It's really the turnkey price that you need to make the comparison to site-built construction. And it can be really frustrating when you see a price on somebody's website only to learn later that you have a number of additional costs. And if all this seems confusing, you're not alone. I've created a worksheet that you can download for free in the link below to help guide you through all of these cost items. And another factor that doesn't show up when you're comparing just construction costs is the value of time. Typically, a prefab or modular home can be done in half the time of site-built construction. And time can save money in terms of having 2 mortgages, the interest carry on a job, general conditions and things like cleaning the site, maintaining the site. And for investors or developers, this time can be more valuable than just the raw construction costs. But it's something that's often overlooked when accounting for the true cost of a project. And there's also some hidden risks that prefab can help minimize that are often overlooked. This includes reducing weather delays, reducing theft, improving the quality of a project, having less warranty issues, less damage to the site, and less rework from coordination errors. All of this adds up to dollars that can be difficult to track in a project and are often overlooked at the beginning. And if you're choosing a pre-design plan, you can also save money in design and engineering fees. So prefab isn't automatically cheaper, and it's a different cost structure. Depending on your geography, it may or may not make sense for your project. But the real question to ask is, what problem are you trying to solve? And typically what we find out is that cost isn't the number one driver for why people choose to build prefab. It could be for some clients, time is really important. Maybe they have a growing family or they're empty nesters and they want to get into their new home as soon as possible. It could also be that we're shipping to an area that's really difficult or remote to build in. So the real question is, what problem are you trying to solve? Is it the speed? Is it the labor shortages, quality control, site disruption, or minimizing headaches and adding predictability? So if you're comparing prefab to site-built construction, make sure you look at the whole picture, not just the cost per square foot, and get a true apples-to-apples comparison. So once you factor in the time, risk, and long-term performance, in addition to the costs, the answer may become clear.